I'm hearing you. No, and we're ahead of the Cubs in the standings. I just ordered my ring. I'm ready to go.
Well, you know what? If if this turns into one of those improbable deep playoff run seasons, and I know we are so far away from that. It's but you still have the chance to entertain that idea. We're early in the season. They've played one game. This is the best time of the year. If
Yeah.
I think, which maybe the other best time of the year is if a team does make it to the playoffs. I love playoff baseball, but right at the beginning when there is hope and you feel good about what's going on, and it's like the whole season is ahead of you, guys. This is for me such a fun part of the year when baseball just gets going.
Well, the thing is, Chris, when you look at how this thing works, they've been building momentum in spring training. We saw more consistent lineups. We saw guys playing a little longer, and we saw some guys that were working on things early. It was starting to come to fruition, which is going back to Matt's point earlier about how many good at bats we saw yesterday. And I also felt like defensively we were doing some things well as far as positioning and what can you say more about Victor Scott's play. But overall, there was a lot more confidence being shown.
Yeah, Matt, you did bring this up. You liked the way the at bats went, and it was great to see Nolan Arenado do what he did, especially because the way the entire offseason went. And from all of the reporting, everything that you have said, everything that Claves has said about him and the way he handled spring training, it's all been pretty positive. But you have to think that it somewhere on a deep level, it 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 was in his mind that he could potentially no longer be here, and then so his future is uncertain. Then he ends up being here. So to do what he did yesterday, that's an awesome start for him.
His mind, because there is no guarantee that he's not going to get traded at some point as this season goes
Sure.
along. So that was a great moment for him, and it was something where I think you can kind of wash your hands of a lot of what happened in the offseason. Oliver Marmol said in this post-game media conference that that home run was more meaningful than a lot of people maybe realize. So there's something there. And again, just one game, but we saw the bat speed really improve from Arenado in spring, even though the overall numbers didn't look fantastic. I thought he looked all right in spring. And if he can turn that into a really good season, and all of a sudden Lars Nootbaar can also be that guy that we've been waiting for him to be, a guy who can stay healthy and be an impact player, we're talking about a club that's got a pretty good ability to score runs.
Well, I thought the thing with Arenado was the fact he didn't have a lot of strikeouts in spring training. And he was either walking or putting it in play. Now he hit into some double plays, but I just think the whole contact issue was something that was more important for him. And I think he's going to be more fun to watch than we think.
Well, he's going to have to be. If this team is going to score runs, he is going to have to be part of this offense. And after losing Paul Goldschmidt, who was a big part of your offense, just looking at it on paper, that's a pretty big deal for a team that did not score runs last season. So as we look at it now, how do they do it if they're going to win this year and if they're going to score runs, other than the obvious that, well, I guess everybody has to contribute? Who is it really going to have to be other than Arenado?
Everybody's got to be part of this.
Yeah.
I think we're waiting on Jordan Walker to bust out. We're waiting to see if Nolan Gorman can get 500 at bats and see what he can do with that. Alec Burleson is a guy we want to see do more. I really feel like one of the guys I'm looking forward to is Wilson Contreras. And John Rooney made a point in spring training about you think he can hit 40. And when you start doing the math internally with regard to what he doesn't have to focus on, that being catching and the injuries that come with that, you think, why not? Along with this, somebody's got to hit behind him, though.
Yeah.
Because they'll pitch around him if they think he's the only threat in the order. Or if you steal a base in front of him, they'll just have an open base and they'll walk him. They'll take him out of the game. So other people have to be able to contribute around him.
I'm not trying to be dismissive of what they got out of
But
Paul
you
Goldschmidt
are. Here we
last
go.
year.
Yeah.
But they didn't get much from him. He did
It
not
took
have
a while. Yeah.
He did not, even with leading the team in home runs, he did not have this big time impactful season last year. And to a certain extent, Nolan Arenado didn't either. Where that's been well documented that those two guys did not play up to their normal standards. So I think you look at this team and say, compare last year to this year. Last year was a year where they were above 500. They were a second place team. They're largely the same coming back, except for Goldschmidt exiting. But Goldschmidt wasn't a huge contributor last year. It doesn't take much for just a few guys to be a little bit better than they were last year. Clay's mentioned Wilson Contreras. He's the biggest key here. Contreras is the biggest, most important bat on this team. I think Claves is right when he says that he can flirt with 40 home runs. This is a legitimate middle-of-the-order, run-producing, big-time power bat. So if you're doing all the other things, if Lars Nootbaar stays healthy, if Mason Wynn and Victor Scott are getting aboard at the bottom of the order and wreaking havoc on the bases, if Nolan Arenado just takes a step forward like you think he would do based off what we've seen in spring and the stuff that he worked on in the offseason, if Alec Burleson can build off what he did last season, at that point, you don't even need that much from Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. I think that's the key here is because you just put those guys in the order and you let them kind of develop at their own pace and see what you can eventually get out of them and what they're going to be.
Well, let's talk about Gorman for a second because the Arenado thing, him still being here, really complicates the playing time for him, you would think. And you're going to wonder where those at-bats are going to come from for him because they've been talking about trying to get him 500 or so. Is that even going to be possible to get him close to that?
Good question. I think that Ali and his staff are pretty creative about how they get people in ball games. And somebody else maybe have a slow run for a minute where maybe they'll switch some people up with regard to the outfield and the infield, and maybe Arenado's a DH more. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Now, you don't want to see anyone get hurt, but I think this is the fun thing about why we look at managers in the way we do, because it's up to them to be creative and not lose a game just to insert a person in the lineup that we really don't know who he is because he's been injured. He's had some slumps. But I really feel in his case, he wants to have some consistency, that be it Nolan Gorman. And it'll be up to the manager and the staff to figure it out.
Guys are going to have to get days off. I keep bringing up Lars Nootbaar, but if his health is key, well, then part of that is taking him out of the lineup every once in a while and give him a day off. Nolan Arenado probably shouldn't play every single day at third as much as he might want to. He's somebody who's dealt with back issues and things like that. Do what you need to do to keep him healthy. There's other players who are going to get days off. There's going to be some matchups that are not great. So I think just naturally with guys getting days off and guys to face off against, you're going to be able to get 3 or 4 days a week for Gorman in there. And then if there does happen to be an injury or something else, it might grow beyond that. So 500 plate appearances seems like maybe a stretch, but can you get Gorman 400 with what I just referenced? I think you can.
Well, can you get enough to make a decision on what you think he is or whether or not you want to have him moving forward? Can they get enough? Can they get him enough playing time this year? Because that is part of what this season is supposed to be, is finding out about the youth.
Yeah, I think so. Injuries, days off. And you're right. We don't know who Nolan Gorman is. We know he has really good power. We know he might strike out a little bit. We know he's made the transition from third base to second base and has been okay. But we don't know what all of that looks like with a whole season.
Yeah, it's they got to get it figured out. If you're going to state the goal going in that the idea is you have to figure out who these guys are, then that becomes a priority. Now, where it gets interesting, what if this team's really good? What if this team goes on a run here, especially compared to the rest of the division? Maybe it's you're comparing yourself to the other NL Central teams as opposed to the NL East and the NL East. What if the Brewers and the Cubs and the Reds and the Pirates, they just never get going, and all of a sudden the Cardinals have a nice start to the season and they're in control of this thing? Then all of a sudden it might be a little bit more challenging to figure that out. But at that point, it's a different situation because you're trying to win yourself a division.
Well, just looking at the division, I can't really worry about anybody except for the Cubs and the Brewers. Look, the Reds have gotten better. They have good young talent. Same thing for the Pirates. But neither of those organizations ever does the next step. They might get those young players, but they never help those guys out. They never go and supplement the talent. And that's how they've been operating for decades now.
Yeah, but, this year, Chris, I would say this. The Reds have made a statement in hiring Tito Francona. And I don't think Tito Francona is taking that job thinking that I'm not going to get any more help if we get close. So the dynamic may be a little different from what we've been accustomed to.
Just his presence alone to me doesn't make them a winner necessarily, but you make a good point that maybe he doesn't take that job unless he was given some sort of guarantee that if they're playing well, they get some actual help.
Yeah. At some point, let's say you get near the All-Star break or after the break and you're 2 games out, 3 out, or maybe 3 up, who knows? And you know what you need. Maybe it's a bat, maybe it's another arm. Are you renting a guy or are you going to take on somebody's contract? They're in a position to do it. And I think Francona wouldn't take a job to be part of a total rebuild. I mean, think about it. They have arms. They can swing the bat a little bit. Now, that ballpark tricks them up to the point where they may have some problems and how to deal with that. But they also play 81 games on the road. So I really look at that team as one that could be an X factor. I know this. I wouldn't want to have to go in there in September trying to get 2 out of 3 against that bunch if they're in contention.
I would say this too about the Brewers. At some point, they're going to stop doing this thing where we look at them on paper at the beginning of the season, say it's not a very good team, and then all of a sudden they win the division. And this might be the year that ends up happening. I don't think a lot of them on paper, and I know I say that every year. Everybody says that every year, and then they win the division. But I just don't see it again.
All right. Well, we'll see. Because I write them off every year too, every single year. It was kind of like, I'm not saying they are Tom Brady, but it was like toward the end of Brady's career, every year felt like the year that he wasn't going to be good anymore, and he just kept winning Super Bowls. I've got Mike Claiborne with me, Matt Pauley joining us. We will have John Rooney on the show at 12:30. We're talking about the Cardinals opener and the victory there. The Blues also keep winning. They have won 8 straight games now. Just totally unbelievable. Great for them. They're in playoff position now. All of that is coming up. You can text the show, 314-436-7900. Drop us a voice message on the Odyssey app as well. Again, Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang, 104.1 FM KMOX.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
You're leaving for work, but the garage door won't open. Is it the opener? Is the spring broken? Now you're late and your car is trapped. Well, don't panic. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is here with same-day emergency service. They won't leave you stuck. The original Red Ribbon Garage Door Company, trusted in St. Louis since 1926. Call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
The Dave Glover Show, weekdays at 1 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The pitch, a swing and a long drive to left field. That's it deep, back to the wall. It's out of here. Nolan Arenado's first home run of 2025. And the Cardinals have some breathing room for Ryan Helsley. A 2-run lead for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th.
Nolan Arenado with a home run yesterday in the home opener for the Cardinals. Lars Nootbaar going deep as well. It was a nice game for the Birds. They got a 5-3 win over Minnesota. They enjoy an off day today, and then tomorrow they are back at it. A couple of afternoon games this weekend. Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang today. We are on every weekday from 12 until 1. So let's talk about something that happened prior to the game yesterday, because the ceremony was all delayed because of weather. About an hour and a half, everything was pushed back. The game ultimately started at 4:45. But prior to the game, they do the introductions, and we heard Cardinals fans who typically don't boo their own people, whether it is a player or a coach or whatever, and both John Mozeliak and ownership getting booed in the game yesterday. When you heard that happen, what did you think? And we'll start with you, Claibs. Maybe we don't have Mike. How about Matt Pauley? Tell me what you thought about that when you heard it.
Yes, the Mo one most interested me, honestly, because that was one where they just honored him with a video going into his final season as the president of baseball operations. And I thought it was really interesting what actually happened there, because the moment they introduce him, we start to hear boos. And then very quickly after that, the boos start to get kind of filtered out by applause. And what I think was happening was, we understand. I'm not trying to sugarcoat things. We understand there is a vocal group of people, whether it's a majority or a minority of people, there is a vocal group of people who are unhappy with John Mozeliak. But I got the sense from the fans that after Mo just got honored for his years and years with the organization, that wasn't the time or the place to boo that man. And it felt like to me that the Boo Birds came out and the rest of the crowd said, not right now. And they started to applause. I think there were people there who would almost never applause for John Mozeliak, who chose to applause in that situation just because they wanted to try to drown out the boos.
Claibs, I think we have you back. Had a little technical issue, but what did you think?
I was disappointed. You know, I look at what John Mozeliak's done in his career, and there's a whole lot more good than what we've seen recently. And you show me a general manager who hasn't had a trade he'd like to bring back or a free agent that he'd like to unsign. It's business. And it doesn't make a difference what sport it is. But it just seemed like we just want to find someone to blame for all the woes, but yet and still, all the years that we came out celebrating for this win and that championship, you know, John Mozeliak had his fingerprints on that too. Yeah, I just think, man, we in a society where we want to just pin it on somebody for whatever, and it has nothing to do with the game. It may be something personally. It just may be something that we just want to just root against. I really look at yesterday where everybody was like hoping we won't get a sellout. Well, that'll show everybody what we mean. And that doesn't mean we're going to have another sellout. But the bottom line was you had so much angst within, I don't even call it Cardinal Nation, because I just think Cardinal Nation isn't what that's about. But the naysayers had a voice, and they expressed themselves yesterday. And I think if they looked at John Mozeliak's resume, I would ask them, who would you rather have? And I'm not talking about Brian Cashman. I'm not talking about Andrew Friedman with the Dodgers, which is a whole different dynamic. But over the time John Mozeliak is here, who would you rather have?
Well, I would say this, and that's a perfectly reasonable question. As far as fans go, I used to have this real hardline stance on it. Like, you should never boo your own people. Don't boo your players. Don't boo your coaches. It doesn't help. It's not going to make them better. But it is the older I get, I realize it is a fan's right to do it if they want to. If they want to voice their displeasure, they could do it in a couple of different ways. One is to not show up, and two is that. And you can do that, and that's okay. Even if it is misdirected, it is okay to do that. And if you want more out of your organization, then I guess that's the way that you can express that. The other thing I would say is if you're a Cardinals fan and you want them to do better, if you want them to spend more on payroll or be a little bit more aggressive during an offseason, it's okay to say that too. And thirdly, I would say if you're the Cardinals organization, be happy that you're even if it's just a small percentage of fans, be happy that they care enough to do that they care enough to express that. Because the other option is they don't care at all and they don't show up. And the last thing you want is apathy. So it doesn't bother me so much that happened. And I guarantee you the DeWitts are not worried about it. And Mozeliak is not worried about it. They know that goes with the territory. But if you're a fan and you want to voice your displeasure, you're well within your rights to do that.
Mo, by the way, was hilarious when he was in his media scrum before, and he was asked about what kind of reaction he expected and what he would say if he would address. And he said, basically, I'd tell him, you don't have to boo me anymore. I'm gone. You got what you want.
You should be cheering.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he was really funny the way he did. I'm actually going to play the audio on Sports Open Line coming up tonight because it was so funny the way he approached it. And you have to approach that. I mean, Claibs, if you know you're going to get booed, well, you can't get a complex over it.
No, it comes with the territory. And there are a lot of players that get booed in different cities. I think when you're your own hometown, it's probably seen more noticeable. But, man, when we sign up for this industry of sport and entertainment, there's going to be somebody who's not going to like you for whatever reason, and they feel like the best way they can get their point across is booing. I'm probably not that guy. I probably move on, but I understand why they do it. I just don't agree with the situation.
So later on today at 5:00, Kevin Wheeler has the Redbird Rush Hour. That's with you too, right, Matt Pauley?
Yes.
You're going to hang out with Kevin? Is it every day? You're doing it every day?
I am every day.
Every day. Kevin Wheeler and Matt Pauley on the Redbird Rush Hour. And then Matt's got Sports Open Line at 6:00, and you'll have a full show tonight because the Cardinals have an off day, and then they'll pick it back up tomorrow afternoon. Matt Pauley, thanks for jumping on today.
You bet.
We'll talk next week. Mike Claiborne is still hanging out with me, Chris Ranji. When we come back, we're going to talk to John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, next on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Welcome to Staples.
I hear Staples prints it all for any business.
You bet, and we'll beat any print quote.
So if I had a pizza place...
Staples can print signs, menus, pizza boxes.
A landscaping business?
Oh, we can print yard signs, t-shirts, brochures.
How about a pizza/landscaping business? I'll call it Dough and Mo.
I like it.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5, exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Oh, baby, isn't it nice outside? Right now, the temperature is 80 degrees in St. Louis, and we are approaching the high of 81. Nice day today. Going to be some weather, though, over the weekend. Expecting a little bit, maybe even a lot of heavy rain on Sunday, as there are 2 sporting events, actually 3 happening over the weekend. The Cardinals will play City SC with a couple of games this weekend as well. The weather is brought to you by Financial and Tax Strategies.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
I got a couple bids from a couple other Anderson replacement companies. Wow, you wouldn't believe the quotes I got.
Kenny talks about his decision to get Anderson replacement windows from Wilkie Window and Door.
I'm glad my wife suggested Wilkie. They saved us a ton.
Don't overpay for your Anderson windows. Call Wilkie Window and Door for an Anderson replacement quote.
Do your homework. It's just common sense.
Wilkie Window and Door in Fenton and Shiloh, next to Lifestyle Kitchens and Baths. Visit us at wilkiewindow.com. That's wilkiewindow.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
How many of you think taxes are going to go up in the future? And if they do, who will be hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Tuesday, April 8th or Thursday, April 10th at Stone Summit. They believe you can't have a retirement plan without a tax plan. So fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
I see clearly now, thanks to the doctors, Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry. You can too. Go to youridoc.com.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Creve Coeur camera may be gone, but we opened another store called the Photo Pros. Same great service, same great people, and today's photography equipment. Lots of new cameras, used equipment, flashes, studio lights, tripods, filter, films, gadgets, and more. We are the Photo Pros out in the Westport area. Every day someone gets a new camera off the internet and comes to see us. It's not the same. You get ripped off. Google Creve Coeur camera or the Photo Pros to find us.
News Radio KMOX, the home of the Cardinals.
Pitch, Newbar swings and he hits a drive. Deep right field. It's a goner. Newbar with a 2-run homer, 3-0 Cardinals in the second.
Cardinals get the win in their opener yesterday, 5-3 over the Twins. Off today, back at it tomorrow afternoon. This is the Gashouse Gang with you until 1 o'clock when Dave Glover takes over. You can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook. Find us on Twitter at KMOX Sports. And we are with you every weekday from noon until 1 o'clock. Got Mike Claiborne with me, Chris Ranji, and we are joined on the guest line by the voice you just heard in that highlight. He is the voice of Cardinals baseball. John Rooney is with us on KMOX. What do you know, John?
Well, nice to be on with the gang today.
Yeah, the Gashouse Gang. And look, we've done this now 3 days in a row. You and I have spoken 3 days in a row. That's a lot.
We're going to wear them out.
I think we are. So, good win yesterday. What are your thoughts on, just top to bottom, what you saw?
I thought they played a complete game yesterday. They played very well in the field. Sonny Gray had the one hiccup where he gave up the home run on a hanger to Harrison Bader. Other than that, he looked very sharp and was able to make his adjustments. Doesn't quite have the pop on the fastball that he had early in the season last year, but the man's a pitcher and knows how to go about his business, and he did just that. And with Lars Nootbaar in the leadoff role, he produced. They had a tell, they thought, on Pablo Lopez and took off early. Nootbaar was caught between first and second, but a balk was called on the move. And then later, Walker was caught between first and second, and Lopez airmailed one into left center field. So the Cardinals were fortunate that led to 3 runs and helped the Cardinals win. And then Victor Scott II had a great catch on the warning track in right center field that saved 2 runs. So I thought it was a nice complete game effort by all phases of the game.
Yeah, I think watching what they did yesterday and looking at it, that's kind of like the prototype. That's what you want to see for most of the year. Of course, they're not going to win everything. But if they are going to be a winning team, John, it's going to have to look like that.
Well, you have that consistency, and by scoring early and often, that helped set up the later part of the ball game. And then having a home run from Arenado, how big is that in the 8th inning? They gave Helsley another run of breathing room, and then Helsley came in and gave up a hit, but he was locked down with striking out the side. Oh, that's the way you like to draw it up. And as Ricky Horton used to say when he was the pitching coach and a pitcher happened to throw very well on a good pitch, he'd say, do that the rest of your life, you'll be all right. Well, that's what the Cardinals need to do the rest of the year, and they'll be more than all right.
Yeah, John, it was a fun game to watch. And you mentioned quite a few of the highlights, but we started to see this come together. What would you say, maybe the last week of spring training where the bats seem to be more focused? The defense was always solid from day one. And the fact that we actually saw Wilson Contreras at first base, and he made a couple of good plays in the field also. And that's something I think fans are really going to be excited about watching him, especially when you think about the prior first baseman who played that position that have gone on to have great success.
Well, let's start with Wilson Contreras right there, Claves, as what we witnessed in spring training, the hard work that he put in the offseason and then carried that into February and March. It's amazing, his footwork around first base. He knows the game. That's the other side of it. He loves the game, knows the game, brings energy to a team. That's all important. But if he can't dig throws out of the dirt, he can't make the play over the shoulder in foul territory down the right field line, or he doesn't have the footwork with a stretch, he could get hurt with his arm in the path of oncoming runner. We haven't seen any of that. I mean, he's amazing how he has adapted to first base coming from behind the plate. So with the way he played at first, yes, the defense responded very well, but I don't think they have a whole lot to worry about over at first base. Now, will he make some errors? They all do. But I don't think it's for lack of effort and work to make the transition from catcher to playing first base. Now, as far as taking really good at bats, I think with what Oliver Marmol told us yesterday about Brant Brown, there's a time to mash and let it go, and there's a time to hit. And I do like the two-strike approach and the approach of putting the ball in play. I think that will pay big dividends as the season moves on.
That was almost glaring yesterday, John. The fact that we saw some guys work walks, the two-strike approach was not intimidating, something we didn't see a lot of over the last couple of years. But, man, if it's going to be like that for this year, we're going to have some more positive results.
Oh, I think so. Like Brendan Donovan putting the ball in play and have that go off Correa's glove for an RBI hit to get the first run in. I thought that was big. But just cutting down on strikeouts and taking pitches and the close borderline pitches. We don't see Jordan Walker lunging after pitches. He looks to be a lot more comfortable in the batter's box. And Victor Scott II, I look for him to get back to more of the hard hit line drive and hard ground balls that we saw in spring training. And when he puts a charge into it, he's going to get the ball out of the park occasionally. But he popped up a couple of times, and I think that kind of goes along with wanting to really achieve something on opening day and prove a point. And I think as he settles in, we're going to see a nice consistent effort out of him as well. But with Newbar in left and Scott playing center field like the Gold Glover he was in the minor leagues a couple of years ago, I mean, that catch yesterday, it really saved the game.
Yeah. No doubt.
John Rooney, Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji with you on the Gashouse Gang today. And Mason Wynn in the game yesterday, an 0-for-3 for him. He is there's still with him just a lot to like and a lot to look forward to and wonder what kind of player he's ultimately going to turn into. But he's also going to need some time off here and there. And the way the Cardinals roster is constructed, if he does get a day off, especially from the field, how is this going to go? Because I know he wants to play 162, but you're not going to let him play 162, John.
Well, right now it's Brendan Donovan, the backup at shortstop, and they have Fermin and Barrero doing a lot of work infield and outfield where they can be backups later on. But I feel pretty comfortable with Donnie going out there occasionally. I mean, last year it was an older shortstop that we had who just didn't quite have the range that he did when he played for San Francisco and was a terrific player. But yet he was good enough to give that time off for Mason last year. So I thought that was very important. And Donnie, I think, would be a little better and have a little more range. And, he's going to go out there and give it everything he has. But I'm not worried about Mason Wynn. The only time I'll become worried, Claves, about Mason Wynn is if he becomes worried about himself.
Yeah, and he's such a confident young man, a hard worker. And sophomore slumps happen to everyone their sophomore year when they have a full season. And that's just a couple of little things I would adjust. Trying to pull the ball is something he's doing a little too much of. He was a guy that was really effective going up the middle, going to the opposite field. And I think his load now is just like trying all or nothing. And he probably shorten that swing a little bit, and he'll be back in the groove here soon.
Yeah, I think we started to see a little bit of that last few games of spring training and his approach, and maybe get a bunt down when they're over shifting on the infield or playing back. That's something he can add to it. But he'll get that confidence going. And as I said, I'm not worried about him. The only time I'll become worried is if he starts doubting himself. And with his ability and his talent, he shouldn't do that. And he'll continue his hard work and be all right. But I think he learned some things from Crawford last year. But I still feel pretty comfortable with Donovan backing him up when and if he needs time off.
I'm really interested, guys, turning to the pitching to see what's going to happen or how it's going to look. What the results will end up being when the Cardinals, as they are expected to go to a 6-man rotation in the middle of next month. Right now, they don't need to. They got some off days to work with, so they're doing the 5-man rotation. Generally, I'm not the biggest fan of going with more than 5 starters, but how do you guys like this? And I don't know if we've talked about this yet, John, so I want to start with you.
Well, I think we'll wait and see how it plays out. I'm not a huge fan of the 6-man rotation either, but if that's what they need to do to get the innings in, to keep Matz sharp and to have Liberatore in the rotation, and at some point we're going to see Michael McGreevy, and we're going to see Graceffo come up from the minors and others who will help the pitching staff. I mean, guys, what do we go through? About 700-800 pitchers a year in baseball because of ineffectiveness and injuries and adjustments that each roster has to make. And the Cardinals do have some good depth, I believe, in the minor leagues. And Glenn Matthews, I think he's going to be here sooner than later, but we're going to see what the Cardinals have in keeping people fresh. And you have a couple of guys out there. Leahy can go a little bit longer, and certainly Matz can because he was stretched out as a starter. Littletor was stretched out, and now he's going to get the chance to be in the starting rotation. So I'm one of those. I'm going to wait and see how it plays out. I'm sure there are good reasons for doing what they want to do with the six-man rotation, and Dusty and Oliver and the people doing the strategy involved to set that up. They have their reasons, and we'll see how all that plays out. But I like what I see from the people on the roster and the work that was accomplished to get ready for the season as far as the pitching goes. And it played out well yesterday. I was glad to see Maton make his Cardinal debut. I know he was excited to get in there and did a really nice job. And Leahy, he got out there. He had a couple of base runners, but I think we're going to see some great things out of him. Roycroft was shut down in his inning. And then Helsley gave up the hit, but he struck out the side and got the save. And it was like it was drawn up on the chalkboard and then executed.
Claiborne, what is your thought on that rotation?
You know, everyone says they don't like the six-man rotation, but the six-man rotation doesn't go away. I'm probably not the biggest fan, but I think what the Cardinals did is ate up the early portion of the month of those off days where it probably makes more sense on the back end compared to saying, all right, April 1st or after the 6th day of the rotation, we're going to run it this way. I think they've eaten up those days, and it'll give them a little bit more flexibility on the back end because everybody's still trying to stretch themselves out. Everybody's still looking for length, whether it's as a starter and certainly in the bullpen. And this is probably the best time to do it.
I think, know what, that might pay dividends later on down the road. We get to July and August too. So That's why I'm saying I'm in wait and see mode on that. Not heavily in favor or heavily against it. Kind of interested to see how it plays out.
And you've got a lot of guys in the rotation, young, who have not really, thrown 170 or so innings in a season. So I guess in that sense, it should be beneficial there, right?
And you do have some experience then with what we saw from Sonny yesterday, Claibs, and what Michaelis is able to give you. He's worked on some things where he's not as predictable. You know he's going to be around the strike zone. This guy has really good command of what he wants to do, but by changing arm angle and his approach, I liked what I saw from Miles, and I hope he did too. It feels very confident going into the season. And with Fetty, he had the sweeper working the last couple of starts. We'll see that tomorrow when he faces the Twins. And so there's experience involved there, but you get down to Libby in the rotation, Andre Palante, and Andre worked on a lot of things to have a nice finish to the season last year. So I'm excited to see his first start too.
And your investment is more in Liberatore at this point. He's a guy that's going to be part of this organization, hopefully for a long time. Steven Matz is in the last year of his contract. So you probably want to get a better, longer look at Libby compared to Matz, who you know is going to be okay. He had a really good spring, and he's a versatile pitcher. So you can probably get away with the six-man and giving everybody a chance to get some length because of a person like Matz and certainly Libby, who apparently can throw virtually every day.
All right, John Rooney, we appreciate you jumping on with us here on the Gashouse Gang. We'll do it next week. We're going to talk to you a couple times next week.
Well, that sounds good. Good thing we're running out of time here now because I'm just about out of gas.
Okay. I think you're, well, look, you got to, hey, there's a lot of gas on this Gashouse Gang show, you know. Thank you, John.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
John Rooney, he is 1/3 of the Cardinals broadcast team. Another third of it is Mike Claiborne, who is with me until 1 o'clock here on the Gashouse Gang. The Blues, man, oh, man, they continue to get it done. They keep winning. By the way, there is Cardinals baseball tomorrow. 12:20 is the pregame show. 1:15 first pitch. Got Claibs, and you'll have Rooney. You'll have Ricky on the call tomorrow. Let's talk about these Blues when we come back. They won't stop winning. It's the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley telling you about i3 Broadband. Are you thinking about upgrading your internet in your home? Probably a pretty good decision to do so. If maybe you're with the cable company or you're with some of those big companies, i3 Broadband, it's amazing. They provide the home internet at my home super fast. They always mirror their upload and download speeds, which is a really big deal. You won't realize how much faster your internet can be. Plus, it's reliable. The customer service is great. See if they're available in your neighborhood. Put your address in at i3broadband.com.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Spring is here. Time for daffodils and road construction. Do your part to avoid a work zone crash. Pay attention, slow down, put the phone down while driving so we can all go home safe. Join the 11th Annual St. Louis Work Zone Awareness 5K, Saturday, April 19th in Chesterfield. Sign up today at kingmox.com/events. That's kingmox.com/events. Brought to you by the Missouri Coalition of Roadway Safety.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I'm Tom Ackerman, and welcome to this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This month we are talking about colon cancer, and joining us is Dr. Will Chapman Jr.
A patient is not having to go to 3 different office visits trying to manage the communication between different physicians as an intermediary. Instead, I can talk directly to my colleagues. We can quickly establish a plan.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Special announcement. Together Credit Union is now accepting applications for its Together Foundation Community Scholarship Program. This year, Together Credit Union will award 5 $1,500 scholarships to eligible students who live and work in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Jefferson County, Madison County, or St. Clair County. Applications for the Together Foundation Community Scholarship are accepted until Monday, March 31st. Learn more at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Now Shen to the line. Nevers gets it. Into Fowler. Right in. Shoots. He scores! Fowler! Top corner! That was lit. It's 2-2.
What an awesome call on FanDuel Sports Network. Blues keep winning. JK's the best. Saliga Heating and Cooling sponsors the show. It's an American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. I got Mike Claiborne, a part of the Cardinals broadcast team, with me, longtime sports guy here in St. Louis. I'm Chris Ranji. Dave Glover's coming up next. But what, dude, Claibs, this team.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, now they've been in the second wild card spot for a while, so things kind of worked out for them last night. They do have, Calgary's got a couple of games in hand on the Blues at the moment. However, they're 5 points up on the team that is right behind them. So still, 8 games left to go in the season?
9 to go.
Yeah, 9 to go.
5 of those games are against teams that are in playoff contention.
Right.
It won't be easy because they finish out on the road. But, man, you have to like the style. And it kind of takes you back to 2019 where they're playing for each other. When you see Bolduc giving somebody the business and Tyler Tucker is going to right any wrong on the ice. But everybody else seems like they're playing with a lot more confidence and they play bigger, they play faster, and they become a team that's hard to play against.
With this, the runway is coming to an end here. So to make it into the playoffs, they have to continue to play like this. I mean, right, you don't have to win every single game.
Mode.
Right. So, and this is the best possible time for them to be doing it, other than actually doing it in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. And when you look at this team, the momentum is being built at a pretty good pace. Throw in the fact that you have Dvorsky that's on the roster. Jimmy Snuggerud will probably be part of this team. How do you find those guys ice time? Colton Parayko starting to skate again. So it's almost like you've made a midseason trade of some sort to get some new, fresh players in. And with the players that are already in the lineup, the competition even becomes greater.
Yeah, and, as I mentioned, they have now played 74 games. The Canucks have played 72, so Vancouver's got a couple of games in hand. The Flames have 71, so they have 3 games in hand, but the Blues are 5 points in front of Vancouver. They are 6 points in front of Calgary at the moment, and they're only a couple of points behind the Minnesota Wild. So
they're going in the opposite direction right now.
It sure looks like it. And right now, of all the wild card teams, the Blues are the only team for the season with a positive goal differential. So, they're clearly playing better than everybody else in the NHL now. It's just a matter of keeping it up. So good on them. They've won 8 straight games, and this has been a lot of fun to watch. It's been a lot of fun to
Here's
talk
the question
with you,
for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you keep it up?
I don't know. I mean, how do you keep it up with this sort of energy?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I give Monty credit for, he's giving guys balanced ice time where no one's out there too long, or he's shortened his bench. He's giving 4 lines a chance and 6 defensemen opportunity to play when nobody seems like they're burnt out.
And that might be your answer right there, is to manage the ice time and hope guys don't get worn down. Mike Claiborne will do it next week, next Friday. Good to talk to you.
Wait. Enjoy your weekend, sir.
You too, Mike Claiborne.
Cardinal baseball tomorrow and Sunday, and we play the Angels during the week.
Baby, 12:20 for the pregame show. Claibs will be part of that and the broadcast with Rooney and Ricky. 1:15 is the Cardinals game tomorrow against the Twins. We'll be back with the Gashouse Gang at 12 o'clock on Monday. Thank you for listening. Anything you missed, you go get it on the Odyssey app, or you can watch the podcast later on YouTube as well. Coming up next, it is Dave Glover. For Mike Claiborne, I'm Chris Ranji. This is 104.1 FM KMOX.
Now's a great time to call,